Campus clashes and new protest parameters on UC and CSU campuses as the new school year starts.
In tonight's Politics at Large, Steve joining us now in studio to break down the new guidelines for protests and what real impact they could have, Steve.
Yeah, Marley, Tony, there's a story we covered a lot over the course of the last year. This all centers around, of course, the campus protests over the war between Israel and Hamas. That led to weeks-long protests on campuses last year, even leading to violence at UCLA and, of course, lawsuits, now in an effort to avoid the same scenario this school year. The signs of a new school year at UC Davis before students descend on campus, and already new plans to preempt renewed protests over the war in the Middle East.
I think we're all going to hold our breath to see if regents actually do something, and specifically Davis.
Jonathan Groveman with the Davis October 7th Coalition sued UC Davis in May after he recorded this video he says shows pro-Palestinian protesters blocking his access on campus and hitting him with umbrellas.
They wouldn't let you pass through. They blocked the main artery through campus, through the quad.
The last year has been very challenging.
State Senator Scott Wiener is co-chair of the Legislative Jewish Caucus and chair of the Senate Budget Committee, requiring both UCs and CSUs to submit a report they are keeping their campuses safe. The state is withholding $25 million from the UC system.
And then once they produce those reports, then they'll receive the $25 million. So that's an accountability measure.
In Los Angeles, protests turned violent in May on the UCLA campus. A federal judge last week ruled UCLA cannot allow pro-Palestinian protesters to block Jewish students from classes. Both the UC and CSU systems released new protest policies allowing no encampments of any kind, no temporary or permanent structures, and no wearing masks to conceal identities with the intent of intimidating.
What do you think the impact will be?
I actually think it'll rile students up more.
Omar Altamimi is with the Sacramento chapter of the Council on American and Islamic Relations and helped student protesters at UC Davis and Sacramento State understand their rights last year.
These new policies are retaliatory.
UC Davis civil rights professor Vic Amar says the government can regulate protests without restricting freedom of speech.
Regulations that say no overnight camping, they don't focus on the content or message of the speech. That just prohibits a particular manner of speaking.
A California crackdown on protests that take over parts of college campuses. How will a new policy be put into practice? That is the questions. What will be the substance of this policy? They are in place. The question will be how campus police actually enforce the policies. Neither Sac State or UC Davis would comment on this today.
Yeah, I think a lot of parents would say, okay, protests are part of the campus culture, but I want my kids to learn in an unimpeded way, right?
Yeah, that's been the dialogue over the last year. Now we'll see if this changes how those protests are actually done. Yeah.